5 years ago, my husband humiliated me at a family dinner, laughing as I clutched my business proposal in tears. His entire family joined in, mocking my ideas and telling me I'd never be successful. That night, as I sat there, swallowing my humiliation, I made a silent vow. I would prove them wrong. Today, I own the very company that once rejected my ideas, and the Morrison family now works for me. It was a brisk October morning when my assistant rushed into my office, her face flushed with excitement. "Miss Williams, you need to see this." Immediately. She placed the morning's financial paper on my desk. My heart skipped a beat as I read the headline. Morrison Industries faces unprecedented crisis. Share prices plummet 60% overnight. The irony wasn't lost on me. Morrison Industries, once an untouchable giant, was crumbling under the weight of its own arrogance. The name of my former brother-in-law, Aaron Morrison, dominated the article alongside quotes from analysts calling it one of the most dramatic corporate downfalls in recent history. This was the same family that had humiliated me at their dinner table 5 years ago, led by my ex-husband Gary, who had taken such pleasure in declaring my business ideas worthless. His mother Audrey, who had smiled condescendingly as her son shredded my proposal, his brother Aaron, who had chuckled and called my ideas amateur hour, and his sister Stacy, who had whispered just loud enough for everyone to hear that I was embarrassing the family name. They had all laughed at me, and now they were on the verge of financial ruin. I sat in my corner office, 40 stories above the bustling city streets, staring out at the Morrison Industries building in the distance. Its once proud logo now seemed somehow diminished in the morning light. My thoughts drifted back to that fateful night when everything changed. The Morrison family's quarterly business dinner had always made me uncomfortable. Ostensibly, it was a time for family members to discuss business matters openly and propose new ideas. In reality, it was just another opportunity for them to reinforce their hierarchy and remind everyone of their supposed superiority. I had spent months preparing for that night, researching market trends, analyzing company weaknesses, and developing innovative solutions to help modernize their outdated business practices. My proposal focused on digital transformation, employee empowerment, and sustainable business practices, concepts I knew were critical for any company's future success. As I stood to present, I was nervous but confident. I believed in my ideas. But as soon as I finished speaking, Gary burst into laughter. "This is what you've been wasting your time on?" he scoffed, carelessly tossing my reports aside. Digital transformation, employee-centric management, environmental sustainability, these aren't just unrealistic. They're completely out of touch with how real business works. The laughter that followed still echoes in my mind. Audrey's polite but dismissive chuckle, Aaron's derisive snort, Stacy's mean-spirited giggle. Even Stan, Gary's father, who was usually quiet and reserved, allowed himself a small, dismissive smile. "The business world isn't a place for dreamers," Stan had said. "It's about proven methods, tried and true practices. These new age ideas you're proposing, well, they're not how things work in the real world." That night I sat there, my cheeks burning, my hands trembling beneath the pristine tablecloth. Gary continued his public evisceration. "This is exactly why you'll never succeed in business," he declared. "You don't understand how things really work. You think you can come in here with your idealistic proposals and revolutionize a company that's been successful for 3 generations? It's laughable." The words had hit me like physical blows, but it wasn't just Gary's cruelty that hurt. It was the way the entire family had united in their contempt. Audrey delicately dabbed her lips with a napkin and added her own barb. "Darling, perhaps you should focus on more appropriate pursuits. Planning our charity galas, for instance. You do have such a knack for flower arrangements." The suggestion was met with knowing chuckles around the table. Stacy seized the moment to twist the knife further. Really, it's almost cute how you thought you could understand our business. Some people are born for this world, and others, well, others should know their place. I looked down at my trembling hands, at the diamond ring Gary had placed on my finger 2 years earlier, a ring that now felt more like a shackle than a symbol of love. In that moment, something in me shifted. I made a decision. I would show them. Not with words, not with desperate pleas for recognition, but with undeniable success. Now, 5 years later, as I held the morning's newspaper detailing their company's collapse, I felt a surge of satisfaction. Every single problem they faced could have been prevented if they had just listened to me that night. Their reliance on outdated business models had left them vulnerable to digital disruption. Their hierarchical management style had driven away top talent. Their resistance to sustainability had cost them valuable contracts with environmentally conscious clients. My intercom buzzed, interrupting my thoughts. Miss Williams, the Morrison family representatives are here for the meeting. I took a deep breath, straightened my designer suit, so different from the demure dress I had worn to that dinner, and replied, "Send them in." The door opened, and in walked Audrey and Stan. Not Gary, not Aaron, just the two of them, looking smaller than I had ever seen them. "Thank you for meeting with us," Audrey began, her voice lacking its usual confidence. "I assume you've seen the morning's news." "I have," I replied, remaining standing behind my desk. "Though I must admit, I'm surprised to see just the two of you. Where are Gary and Aaron?" Stan cleared his throat uncomfortably. They don't know we're here. After what happened at the board meeting yesterday, they're not thinking clearly. We thought it would be better to explore our options quietly." "Options?" I echoed, my voice neutral. "And what options would those be?" Audrey clasped her perfectly manicured hands together. "We've heard rumors that your company might be interested in acquiring certain assets of Morrison Industries." I allowed myself a small smile. "Rumors? Or have you finally read the market analysis I presented 5 years ago? The one that predicted exactly where Morrison Industries would end up if it didn't adapt?" The color drained from Audrey's face. She remembered that night. She remembered, laughing. Stan sighed heavily. "We were wrong. About you. About business. About everything. But please, help us save what we can." I walked to the window, looking out at the city skyline, where the Morrison Industries building stood as a monument to outdated thinking. "I'm not interested in saving what was," I said finally. "I'm interested in building what could be. The question is, are you ready to accept that everything you mocked me for was actually the solution you needed?" They were silent, absorbing the weight of my words. 5 years ago, they had laughed at me. Now they sat in my office begging for my help. The irony was almost poetic. I corrected her. "You chose failure by refusing to change, and now here we are." I walked to my office window, looking out at the city skyline where both our company buildings stood, mine rising, theirs falling. "Do you want to know what I did differently after that dinner? After you all finished laughing at my ideas? I went out and built everything you said couldn't work." Turning back to face them, I continued, "Employee profit sharing? My company has it. Sustainable business practices? We're industry leaders. Digital transformation? We wrote the book on it. Everything you mocked as unrealistic has become the foundation of my success." Gary's hands clenched into fists on his lap. "So, this is your revenge? Taking over our company?" "No, Gary, this isn't about revenge. This is about fixing what you broke. About showing that there's a better way to do business than the Morrison way." I sat back down at my desk. "The takeover is happening. The only question is whether you want to be part of the solution or continue being part of the problem." Stan stirred in his chair. "What exactly are you proposing?" I pulled out 3 folders, placing them on the desk. "These are my offers. One for each of you. Different roles in the new organization, but with one common requirement. You have to earn your positions. No more automatic authority because of your last name. The silence was heavy with unspoken realizations. These people who once sat in judgment of my ideas were now being offered a chance to learn from them. "And if we refuse?" Gary asked, his voice tight with suppressed anger. "Then you'll be watching from the sidelines as I transform your family's legacy into everything you said was impossible. The choice is yours, but choose carefully. Your company's survival depends on it." I could see the battle playing out on their faces. Pride warring with pragmatism, tradition fighting against the undeniable need for change.